So hi everybody, I'm Anamika. So we'll be having a answer writing workshop today. What is the basic thing that you require for answer writing? A pen and a paper. So I hope you have taken a pen and a paper so that we can connect better and you can jot down the points wherever you feel it's important and it may be applicable in your case. Okay, so let's start. Before I start the session, I would like to ask how many of you all have started writing answers? Many of us who are giving the mains this time, उसमें से भी 50% haven't started, right? And who are not giving mains, for them it must be like काफी time है हमारे पास. But I would recommend कि बहुत time नहीं होता. If you start, even if you are giving mains next year say, so it's best to start now, little by little you'll be progressing, and by the time you reach your mains next year, you'll not be in a panic mode, you know, that I have to somehow go and scribble something. And for those who are writing mains this year, so it's high time we start answer writing practice. It's very important. So in today's session, we'll be discussing some points which I have enlisted here. So what is the importance of answer writing? Structuring answers, forming quick and effective introductions and conclusions. Then what are the mistakes that we happen to make in answer writing? And we need to understand where we need to draw the diagrams, flowcharts or maps. Then we need to understand how do we substantiate our answer. I'll explain this as we go ahead. Then we'll be discussing the strategy for all the 4 papers. फिर time management very important and crucial in the exam, so that also we'll be discussing. Then how do you make your answer presentable? Content आ गया, लेकिन उसको presentable कैसे बनाना है? फिर enrichment and interlinkages of the topics, that is also very important because it will again kind of make your answer different from the others. Okay, so let's go ahead. So importance of answer writing. First and very important one, application of knowledge. So what do we mean by this? Many students, you know, who must have read more than you or have such a background because of which they have more knowledge than you. But when it comes to answer writing, the skill here is being able to reproduce what you know. You know, to articulate all the knowledge you have and produce in those 2 to 3 pages. So are you able to do or not? There have been such cases wherein a student has much more knowledge, but usko paper में marks कम आया. But a person who has not prepared much, has read only less, but knows how to represent, how to reproduce in the paper, that person has got more marks. So here the skill of answer writing becomes very important, right? So next point is every 1 or 0.5 mark matters. Every 1 mark that you earn in each answer, given that we have 20 questions, can add those 20 marks to your paper. Or 0.5 marks, that can add 10 marks. And this differentiator of 10 to 20 marks can get you in the list or outside the list, the final list after you know, the mains, or even the final list after the interview. So don't think that ये बहुत 1 mark से क्या होगा या 0.5 mark से क्या होगा. Either you are in the list or out of the list because of this. ठीक है? Then rewiring of the brain. So can anybody tell in answer writing what do we mean by rewiring of the brain? मैं ही बताऊं. So rewiring of the brain मतलब क्या हुआ कि you are prelims, we have been doing prelims clear हो गया. The brain is in such a condition that we are in the tendency of just reading and not writing it, or not having to getting or collecting our thought together and putting it down in the paper. So during mains, it becomes very important to get your thoughts together, to be able to form sentences and be able to write in the given time. You know कि एक statement को कितना time is your hand accustomed to writing? Because right now we are only accustomed to reading, phone पे कुछ देख लिया या screen पे कुछ देख लिया. Are you accustomed to writing for 3 hours? Are you accustomed to sit for those 3 hours and write answers? तो इसलिए आंसर राइटिंग प्रैक्टिस becomes important there. फिर अंडरस्टैंडिंग द डिमांड ऑफ द एग्जाम. Here again we get stuck. Suppose a question comes up and then आपको लगता है कि हाँ भाई ये हाँ मान लो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मोरालिटी वाला क्वेश्चन आया था. Now अब समझने में तो मुश्किल हो रही है. What does this word mean? The question is demanding कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मोरालिटी क्या है और आप कुछ लिख के आगे कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन क्या होता है, मोरालिटी क्या होता है. Was that the demand of the question? No. But since you did not understand that specific term, you wrote constitution and you morality. So understanding the demand of the question. Secondly, यहाँ पे एक और चीज आती है. The exam is not asking you to be a PhD in the subject. So the question has been asked, you have to be precise and write only some points. That challenges पूछ लिया किसी चीज की. Sustainable development अगर करनी है तो उसमें क्या क्या challenges आएंगे. So you give 6 to 7 points. अब उसमें आपको PhD करके पूरी thesis नहीं लिख देनी है. So demand समझिए कि within those अगर 15 मार्क का question है तो you only have max of 7.5 minutes to 10 minutes to write that answer. If you go beyond that, then you are like surely to leave 4 to 5 question at the end. So be sure of that. ठीक है. फिर time management. So now that we have discussed that कि क्या लिखना है क्या नहीं लिखना है, तो next course comes to time management. So many, as you know कि UPSC has a tendency to give many surprises. तो जैसे prelims में surprise दिया है, short mains में भी surprise आने वाला है. So be ready for that too. So what happens, before you get surprised in the paper of what UPSC is coming up with, you should have some strategy for yourself. अपने तरफ से surprises लेके मत जाओ कि it should not happen कि you go and see the paper and you are like, how should I approach it now? Should I start with the questions that I know, or should I start with like from the start? Or should I just like scribble down some questions that I'm not sure of, उसको फटाफट 5 minutes में करके खत्म किया and then write properly the questions that I'm able to answer. So I'll tell you what is the time that you have during the exam. 3 hours का पेपर है, 20 questions है. तो रफली 15 मार्क के क्वेश्चन पे आपको 7.5 मिनट्स टू 10 मिनट्स है और आपके जो 10 मार्क्स वाले क्वेश्चन है टू आंसर दैट यू हैव अराउंड 5 to 6 मिनट्स, राइट. सो देयर कैन बी अ स्ट्रैटेजी दैट यू कैन फॉलो, कि फर्स्ट आई विल स्टार्ट से 10 मार्क्स के क्वेश्चन से हम स्टार्ट करते हैं. आई विल राइट ऑल द 10 मार्कर्स, right, so that at least those 10 markers are done and then I'll go to the 15 markers. Or you can start with the 15 markers. तो उससे आपका क्या होगा, 3 pages में आप you will be writing those 15 markers for 3 pages. तो थोड़ा आपका momentum बन गया and once the momentum is there then you will be faster and then go switch to the 10 markers. तो शायद आपका question मतलब पेपर पूरा कंप्लीट हो जाए उस तरीके से. दिस कैन बी वन स्ट्रैटेजी कि 1 hour 45 मिनट्स में हमने 15 मार्कर्स कंप्लीट कर लिए और बाकी बचा दो 1 hour 45 मिनट्स. दिस इज वेरी एम्बिशियस, इट विल गो टू 2 hours. वहाँ पे थोड़ा टॉलरेंस आप लेके चलेंगे एंड देन उसके बाद maybe 1 hour you will spend for those 10 markers. So this one strategy that that might work, that had worked for me somewhere, that might work for some others. It has worked. They have gone for the questions that they knew first, so that that positive mindset develops in you. यार इतने questions तो मैंने कर दिए, अब आगे वाले भी I'll be able to do. So you can go for that also. So ये time management, you will have to have a strategy for yourself कि when you go and see the paper, what are you going to approach first? What questions are you going to attend to? Right? Have this strategy in your mind first ताकि you don't have surprises from yourself also and from UPSC also. So ये ready रखना है. Okay. So answer writing practice, if you start practicing right now, say 5 questions every day you are doing, model questions आपको जहाँ तहाँ से मिल जाएंगे, or you go and solve PYQs, get it evaluated. So every day when you write answers within a time frame, so 5 questions in 1 hour every day, तो you'll be able to realize कि what are your mistakes there, आप कहाँ पे weak पढ़ रहे हो, where are you able to perform better. Suppose you are good in writing poetry. I'm not saying hi-fi poetry, 3 to 4 liners लिख लेते. This will help you, really help you in writing your good essays. So you have a good start already there. So you know your strength. तो जैसे ऐसे आया, आपने 4 लाइन लिख दी, पोएट्री एक बना दिया फटाफट से, and you are able to produce. You are good at storytelling. तो ऐसे में आपने फिर स्टोरी थोड़ी सी बना दी and then आपने स्टार्ट कर दिया. You are good at writing, remembering some, statistics or data. तो इकोनॉमी के क्वेश्चन आया पेपर 3 में, आपने स्टार्टिंग में कुछ डेटा देके इंट्रोडक्शन स्टार्ट कर दिया. So these are your strengths that you know. Weakness कैसे हुआ कि when I start writing the answer, तो handwriting खराब जा रही है, तो उसके लिए what should I do? Or you should know कि I'm not able to conquer that thing, कि handwriting खराब जा ही रही है. So you should know that thing कि it will happen for the first 10 minutes of answer writing. उसके बाद my hand will get accustomed and I'll be able to write better. So ये आपकी weakness है, strengths है. नहीं तो language problem भी होती है बहुत सारे कि you're not able to write simple sentences, which is the requirement of the exam here. कि simple sentences चाहिए, examples चाहिए, simple sentences नहीं लिख पा रहे या examples याद नहीं आ पा रहे, तो उससे क्या होगा कि when you are reading a newspaper or something like that, or your content जो भी आपकी बुकलेट है, तो आप examples मुझे याद नहीं रहते, वो करके when you are reading आप examples अपने note down करते जाओ, so that when you write answer you are able to write those examples. तो ये weaknesses और mistakes हैं जो आप बनाते हो, when you practice you get to know, and so that you do not repeat these mistakes in the main paper. फिर ऑब्वियसली अगर ये आपकी स्ट्रेंथ्स और वीकनेसेस पता चल गई तो ग्रेजुअल इंप्रूवमेंट होगी, योर हैंड राइटिंग विल इम्प्रूव, योर लैंग्वेज विल इम्प्रूव, एंड देन यू विल बी एबल टू राइट बेटर एग्जाम्पल्स, और नंबर ऑफ क्वेश्चंस आपके ज़्यादा बढ़ गए. और इफ़ यू गिव योर टेस्ट सीरीज और समथिंग, तो वहाँ पे यू विल सी कि आपके मार्क्स ग्रेजुअली बढ़ते जा रहे हैं. और कवरेज ऑफ सिलेबस, ऑब्वियसली इफ यू आर अटेंडिंग सम गुड टेस्ट सीरीज और समथिंग, तो दे गो ग्रेजुअली कि सिलेबस का एक एक चंक उठा के टेस्ट सीरीज उनके बने हुए रहते हैं. सो अकॉर्डिंगली आपकी पूरी सिलेबस भी कवर हो जाएगी, एंड जो एंड का से 1 month इज रिमेनिंग, यू विल बी गिविंग फुल लेंथ टेस्ट, राइट. सो इस तरीके से इफ यू आर प्रैक्टिसिंग आंसर राइटिंग एवरी डे, इट विल मेक अ डिफरेंस. ओके, ठीक है. अब ये बहुत ही एक अच्छा पैराग्राफ मेरे को मिला था इन द सिलेबस इटसेल्फ, though it is given for essays, but I'm sure it will be very useful for the GS papers also. So what does it say? Candidates may be required to write essays on multiple topics. Multiple topics पे आपके questions आएंगे, but they are expected to keep closely to the subject. Again, answer what you have been asked. ठीक है? In a orderly fashion, मतलब अच्छे से structuring होनी चाहिए. कॉन्साइज, यहाँ पे राइट कॉन्साइजली मतलब क्लियर लैंग्वेज, नो फैंसी लैंग्वेज या फ्लावरी लैंग्वेज नहीं चाहिए हमें, और शॉर्ट में सिंपल सेंटेंसेस. Credit will be given for effective and exact expression. You see this effective and exact expression, these are the 2 keywords. So this is given for essay in the syllabus, if you must have read the whole notification, but it will be applicable for your GS papers as well, right? ठीक है. अब हम आते हैं स्ट्रक्चरिंग ऑफ द आंसर्स. तो आप लोगों में से किसी ने दिया, मतलब आंसर राइटिंग करी है? यू हैव डन आंसर राइटिंग, सो इवन यू हैव डन. सो बेसिक स्ट्रक्चरिंग, यू नो कि देयर आर 3 कंपोनेंट्स ऑफ आंसर राइटिंग. ठीक है, इंट्रोडक्शन, मेन बॉडी एंड कंक्लूजन. एंड व्हाट डज अ स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ द आंसर गिव अस? इट गिव्स अ फ्लो टू द आंसर. ठीक है, तो introduction, why is it important? Can you tell me, as you all have written the answers?
to give about what we are going to write in answer, so we give introduction of that.
Okay, you can tell me.
Brief of the demand of the question, brief the demand of the question. Read it in size where 4 to 5 lines maximum. Go use that.
Right.
कम से कम में ज़्यादा बात.
Okay, so it kind of gives a glimpse of what you are about to write in the main body of the answer. And how should it be? It should be so interesting or so catchy that it is able to get the reader's attention. Now get into the mindset of the paper evaluator. ओके यहाँ पे थोड़ा एम्पथाइज अगर करेंगे ना तो आप थोड़ा यू विल बी एबल टू राइट गुड आंसर्स एंड बेटर आंसर गुड आंसर्स आई वुड नो स्ट्रैटेजी बेहतर हो जाएगी. सपोज द कॉपी इवैल्यूएशन जो आपके प्रोफेसर्स कर रहे हैं यूपीएससी वाले जो पेपर्स हैं सो सुबह से द पर्सन इज सैट एंड ही और शी हैज बीन एबल टू चेक अराउंड 10 पेपर्स. ठीक है, योर्स इज द 11th, इट्स 12:30. ठीक है, नून पास हो गया, ब्रेकफास्ट उन्होंने सुबह 9 बजे करा है, 12:30 इट इज. नाउ दैट पर्सन इज हंग्री. ओके, हंग्री एंड ऑल्सो बिट इरिटेटेड कि मतलब होता है ना इतने पेपर से तो दिमाग थोड़ा सा इरिटेटेड है ऑलरेडी. और देयर गोज योर पेपर. नाउ सपोज यू गो एंड यू गिव सम रैंडम इंट्रोडक्शन कि हाँ इंट्रोडक्शन में आपने कुछ लिखा नहीं, आपने क्वेश्चन ही उतार दिया पूरा. इरिटेट हो गया फर्स्ट शॉट में वो इरिटेट हो गया कि और फिर उसके बाद आपका आंसर्स पे उसका ध्यान जाएगा नहीं. सो हियर द रोल ऑफ इंट्रोडक्शन बिकम्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि इट शुड बी सच दैट द रीडर और द इवैल्यूएटर देयर फील्स रीडिंग योर आंसर कि हाँ इसने इंट्रोडक्शन इतना अच्छा लिखा है तो आंसर भी कुछ ना कुछ अच्छा ही होगा. सो इंट्रोडक्शन बिकम्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट दैट वे. मेन बॉडी ऑफ द आंसर. सो मेन बॉडी ऑफ द आंसर में क्या क्या आता है फिर I'll ask you all, tell me.
मतलब जो पूछा गया उसके ऊपर ही मतलब पूरा फोकस होना चाहिए. उससे बाहर फोकस थोड़ा भी हो तो मार्क्स है मतलब उससे नहीं. जो इंट्रोडक्शन के में जो दिया उससे हिसाब से मेन बॉडी होनी चाहिए. राइट. मतलब
क्वेश्चन ने जो डिमांड किया है आप वो आंसर करने की कोशिश कर रहे हो.
2 पार्ट की क्वेश्चन है तो ऐसे मेन बॉडी को
डिवाइड कर दो. आप बताइए और क्या क्या मेन बॉडी में डालते हैं. हाँ, और इसमें लाइक मेन बॉडी में अपार्ट फ्रॉम द कंटेंट दैट यू ऑल सेड कि हाँ क्वेश्चन ने प्रोज कॉन्स पूछे. हाँ, एग्जैक्टली, दैट रियली एड्स टू द ब्यूटी ऑफ द आंसर एंड ऑल्सो विल सेव यू सम टाइम. यू नो हब एंड स्पोक अगर आपको पता होगा कि इफ इट इज आस्किंग चैलेंजेस तो आपने यहाँ पे चैलेंजेस लिख दिया and then you enumerate all the challenges that you feel they are. और यहाँ पे it will save you some time also and you are मतलब और clearly दिख भी रहा है क्या क्या है. ठीक है, इसमें और एक चीज आ जाती है. ये तो चलो मेन एक challenges part you are saving time. Somewhere the question has asked something but to add a little bit of एलिमेंट मोर ऑफ एलिमेंट की अगर मान लीजिए कोई क्वेश्चन आता है कि नक्सलिज्म कितनी रिड्यूस हुई है, कौन कौन से पार्ट में हुई है, क्या हुआ है, तो यू मेक अ रफ डायग्राम मतलब इंडियन मैप बना लीजिए एंड देन यू शो कि हाउ मच इन विच एरियाज इट हैज रिड्यूस्ड. राइट, वो आप बना देंगे. दैट विल ऐड अराउंड 1 मार्क्स मोर टू योर आंसर. तो मेन बॉडी में वो है कि मेनली जो पूछा गया. मेन बॉडी में और क्या क्या चीज का ध्यान रखना है कि क्वेश्चन में जो कीवर्ड्स हैं उसका भी आपको ध्यान रखना है कि दैट हैज वो आंसर हुए हैं कि नहीं हुए. कीवर्ड्स के बीच में इंटरलिंकेजेस हैं कि नहीं है वो भी आपका ध्यान रखना है. वो सारी चीज मेन बॉडी में. तो मेन चंक जो है क्वेश्चन का वो मेन बॉडी में आंसर होगा. ठीक है. हाँ, एग्जैक्टली.
सिलेबस का भी इम्पोर्टेंट रोल होता है
सिलेबस तो this is very important. When you start the preparation for UPSC, syllabus is the first thing that you need to get photocopied और buy it from somewhere, चाहिए तो उसको रट लो, many people do that.
So random technology के भी चीज़
हाँ.
you didn't know.
हाँ.
Pick up the topics of चीज़ वन.
Exactly. इंटरलिंकेजेस आपने डेवलप कर दिए, राइट, इंटरलिंकेजेस वहाँ पे डेवलप होते हैं, तो ये इन्होंने अच्छा पाई, इंटरलिंकेजेस भी यहाँ पे डेवलप करके अगर आपको क्वेश्चन आप आंसर नहीं कर पा रहे हो तो देयर इट विल हेल्प यू. हाँ, परफेक्शन के साथ कुछ तो क्वेश्चन होंगे जो आप आंसर नहीं कर पाओगे, तो वहाँ पे जो कीवर्ड्स हैं कुछ उसके रिलेटेड अगर कुछ जैसे ये बता रहे, इफ यू आर एबल टू राइट डेवलप इंटरलिंकेजेस एंड then write, तो good. One more place that it might help, block diagram like this, कि कुछ क्वेश्चन पूछा है जहाँ पे किसी पॉलिसी का आपको ये कुछ उसके ऑब्जेक्टिव्स पूछ लिए, या मतलब उसके कुछ की पॉइंट्स पूछ लिए अमेंडमेंट्स के या कुछ, और आपको या नहीं तो उसका इम्पैक्ट क्या होगा, तो एग्जैक्ट आपको याद नहीं है, ठीक है. एंड व्हेन यू गो टू राइट इन सेंटेंसेस समवेयर यू विल फील अ लिटिल फ्लस्टर्ड कि क्या लिखूं क्या नहीं लिखूं, तो वहां पे आपको ब्लॉक डायग्राम हेल्प करेगा कि बस जनरल पॉइंट्स है आपके पास मेन मुद्दे पॉइंट्स नहीं है, तो आप वो कीवर्ड्स लिख दो कि हाँ भाई रेड टेपिज्म हो गया, इसमें प्रॉब्लम हो गई, या जो भी है क्लाइमेट चेंज प्रॉब्लम हो गई, मतलब अलग अलग क्वेश्चंस में ये होंगे, बट ये ब्लॉक डायग्राम आपको वहां पे सेव कर सकते हैं, वेर यू आर नॉट एबल टू राइट फुल सेंटेंसेज और यू डोंट हैव प्रिसाइज पॉइंट्स विथ यू, राइट. तो मेन बॉडी ये हो गया. फिर कंक्लूजन क्यों जरूरी है, व्हाई इज इट इम्पोर्टेंट?
पूरे जो आंसर लिखा है उसका भी छोटा सा 2 या 3 लाइनें कंक्लूजन बता दोगे, उसको भी मतलब बता जाए इसको. सो
यू आर सेइंग कि मतलब उसको समराइज कर रहे हो. हाँ, वे फॉरवर्ड लिख दो. हाँ, वो हो सकता है. तो कंक्लूजन काइंड ऑफ इट गिव्स अ क्लोजर टू योर आंसर. इट शुडंट लुक लाइक कि यू हैव गिवन सम डेटा, सम फैक्ट्स, चैलेंजेस एंड देन यू रैन अवे. नो, समवेयर यू नीड टू गिव क्लोजर टू द आंसर, and for the closure we give conclusion. In conclusion, yes, you can write to substantiate your conclusion, you can write a quote by some person कि महात्मा गांधी said this or something like that, or you can give a way forward, और थोड़ा सा और perspective थोड़ा widen करके हल्का सा आपने उसमें कुछ और एलिमेंट है, जैसे इकोनॉमिक किसी चीज के बारे में पूछा है तो आपने उसमें थोड़ा सा इकोलॉजी वाला एंगल भी डाल के बोल दिया कि हाँ SDG में हेल्प करेगा, या सोशल एंगल डाल के बोल दिया, तो दैट कैन बी अ कंक्लूजन. ठीक है, तो हाउ टू राइट, आई थिंक वी हैव डिस्कस दिस, बट देन लेट्स अगेन गो टू द कि इंट्रोडक्शन और कंक्लूजन इंपॉर्टेंट है, लेकिन हम इफेक्टिवली उसको कैसे लिखना है. तो इंट्रोडक्शन बेसिकली you too like there you know it, but majorly अगर हम जाना चाहें तो इंट्रोडक्शन में क्या करना है. तो इंट्रोडक्शन जो है आपके क्वेश्चन का जो whatever topic is there, it identifies the topic. It is talking on say GDP, or is it talking on some PPP happening in railways or whatever. तो identify the topic करता है, फिर इसे context provide करता है. Suppose the question is asking something about simultaneous election, तो context क्या है, क्योंकि प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन की बात करी थी, साइमल्टेनियस इलेक्शन की, तो कॉन्टेक्स्ट कहीं ना कहीं आपका इंट्रोडक्शन इंडिकेट कर देगा. आई विल शो यू सम एग्जांपल्स, कुछ कॉपीज हैं जहां पे दे हैव डन दैट. फिर उसके बाद engage your reader's interest. As we discussed, it does not need to give a view to the reader कि इसको कुछ नहीं आता है or something, the person is not interested in answering this question. It should be such that the reader should feel कि this person might give some gem ahead. So उसको थोड़ा मजा आना चाहिए इंट्रोडक्शन में, तभी वो थोड़ा आगे इंटरेस्टेड होके जाएगा. Similarly, as we have seen, conclusion, it sense of closure आता है, वो तो है ही, और मतलब एक वाइडर कॉन्टेक्स्ट में, जैसे आपने बोला कि वे फॉरवर्ड दे दिया या कोट दे दिया, तो उससे एक kind of एक wider perspective we are giving to the question through conclusion. Now I'll show you some examples of introduction कि कैसे कैसे use हुआ है. अब जैसे अब ये है कि एक statistics हमने कुछ दे दिया, right? उससे start कर दिया. तो यहाँ पे क्या था यहाँ पे इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ, अनऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर की बात करी गई है, सोशल सिक्योरिटी बेसिकली बात करी गई है। तो हाउ वाज दिस पर्सन स्टार्टेड, ये मतलब टॉपर्स कॉपी का एक ग्लिम्स है। तो एनएसएसओ के जो डेटा था उन्होंने वो यूज किया, उसमें एम्प्लॉयमेंट का डेटा यूज किया एंड देन he or she has started the question। तो उससे क्या होता है, this has really caught the attention of the evaluator कि अच्छा, really nice data given by this person, let's go ahead what is he or she has written। So we have given statistic और see to it that you give the right statistic। ये नहीं कि कुछ तो गलत सा फिगर दे दिया तो that will create a negative image। ठीक है, देन व्हाट डू वी हैव नाउ, जैसे हमने डिस्कस किया था साइमल्टेनियस इलेक्शन वाला, अब इसमें क्या हुआ, वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन, ये कॉन्टेक्स्ट इट वाज देयर इन द न्यूज एंड इट केम इन द क्वेश्चन। सो ये कॉन्टेक्स्ट हमने प्रोवाइड कर दिया इंट्रोडक्शन में कि इससे पता क्या चल रहा है कि दिस रिफ्लेक्ट्स दैट द स्टूडेंट नोज अबाउट दिस टॉपिक, दिस स्टूडेंट हैज रेड अबाउट इट, हैज बीन इन न्यूज, तो उसको ओवरऑल से नॉलेज है इस टॉपिक को लेके कि इलेक्शंस में क्या क्या चल रहे हैं, व्हाट इज द गवर्नमेंट डिस्कसिंग, व्हाट इज द गवर्नमेंट कमिंग अप विथ इन द कमिंग ईयर्स। तो वो सब एक आपकी नॉलेज का कहीं ना कहीं यहाँ पे आप रिफ्लेक्शन देते हो आपका इंट्रोडक्शन में इसके थ्रू। फिर कोई, हाँ, अगर स्पेशली ये तो ये आ गया पॉलिटी का है, पार्लियामेंट्री प्रिविलेजेस, स्पेशली इन साइंस एंड टेक क्वेश्चंस और इकोनॉमी समटाइम्स, तो वहां पे जैसे अगर वी शेप्ड रिकवरी पूछ लिया या पार्लियामेंट्री प्रिविलेजेस पूछ लिया, साइंस का कोई कॉन्सेप्ट पूछ लिया, तो व्हेन यू स्टार्ट, इफ यू नो द डेफिनेशन, वो एक थोड़ा मुद्दा है, इफ यू नो द डेफिनेशन स्टार्ट विद दैट, इट अगेन गिव्स अ गुड इंप्रेशन टू द इवैल्यूएटर। ठीक है, कंक्लूजन में अगेन एज वी हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस्ड, तो यहाँ पे कंक्लूजन मतलब ये रीस्टेटमेंट या समरी देने की कोशिश करेंगे तो इट विल नॉट बी अ थिंग। तो एक लैंग्वेज जो आपकी होगी कंक्लूजन में, सी टू इट दैट इट इज अ फ्रेश लैंग्वेज, सेम टू सेम आपको रिपीट नहीं कर देना व्हाट यू हैव रिटन इन द मेन बॉडी ऑफ द आंसर। ठीक है, थोड़ा फ्यूचरिस्टिक या रिफ्लेक्टिव होना चाहिए। यहाँ पे अगेन व्हेन यू सेड कि वे फॉरवर्ड देना है, कोट देना है या कुछ है, तो व्हाट, अगर मतलब स्पेशली एथिक्स के क्वेश्चन में थोड़ा रिफ्लेक्टिव कंक्लूजन आना जरूरी है, विदाउट दैट यू कैन नॉट एंड सम एथिक्स आंसर। फ्यूचरिस्टिक यहाँ पे है, अगर हमने क्लाइमेट चेंज की बात करी तो यहाँ पे फ्यूचरिस्टिक आप कुछ कंक्लूजन दे सकते हो, तो वो हो गया। फिर कोर्स ऑफ एक्शन, अगर दिस वाज द वे फॉरवर्ड थिंग दैट वी डिस, फिर यहाँ पे कोटेशन एज यू मेंशन, फिर ये थोड़ा सा अवॉइड कर सकते हैं अगर हो पाए तो, हेंस देयरफॉर, वो थोड़ा सा ध्यान रखना है।
इसका ऑल्टरनेटिव क्या होगा, हेंस ऑफ मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द हमने जितने भी आंसर्स लिए थे आज तक, अदर देन यूपीएससी जैसे हम ग्रेजुएशन में करते हैं, उसमें हम हेंस ऑफ देयरफॉर मोस्टली हमने यूज किया।
अगर वो कंक्लूसिव आंसर हो रहा है कि मतलब कुछ आपने प्रूव कर दिया, वो जनरली आई थिंक मैथ्स वाले चीज में थोड़ा या कॉमर्स वाली चीज में आता है कि आपने कुछ चीज प्रूव कर दिया, उसके बाद यू राइट कि हेंस दिस 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 दिस। यहाँ पे अगर इफ यू हैव नॉट प्रूविंग समथिंग इन द आंसर, रादर वी आर गिविंग इंफॉर्मेशन दैट हैज बीन आस्क्ड इन द क्वेश्चन, तो फिर मतलब थोड़ा मजा नहीं आएगा क्वेश्चन वो कंक्लूजन में।
तरीके से यहाँ रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है।
हाँ हाँ, जहाँ पे कहीं किसी किसी क्वेश्चन में जहाँ पे अगर बहुत रिक्वायरमेंट आ गई कि एनालिसिस आपको पूछ ली किसी चीज, क्रिटिकली एनालाइज पूछ लिया ये सब, तो जहाँ पे थोड़ी एनालिसिस है एंड देन यू हैव प्रूव्ड योर पॉइंट या यू हैव जस्टिफाइड योर स्टैंड, तो वहां पे शायद आप लगा सकते हो। ठीक है, तो ये जैसे कंक्लूजन है। अब यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो, यहाँ पे जैसे ये देख सकते हो ग्रीन बजटिंग के ऊपर क्वेश्चन था, तो इन्होंने फिर थोड़ा सा फ्यूचरिस्टिक दिया है कि ये तो उन्होंने उसके बारे में बात किया, फ्यूचरिस्टिक दिया है कि कैसे वो यहाँ पे इकोनॉमी को उन्होंने इकोलॉजी से लिंक कर दिया है कि कैसे एसडीजीज में वो हेल्प करेगा, राइट। सो दिस इज फॉर कंक्लूजन। ठीक है, सो अब जैसे अब हमने ये सब देख लिया कि आंसर में क्या होगा, स्ट्रक्चरिंग कैसी होगी, क्या होगा, तो नाउ वी हैव टू डिस्कस जीएस पेपर 1, 2, 3, 4 में थोड़ी, ऑल्दो वी हैव डिस्कस सम थिंग्स बट अ लिटिल बिट हियर एंड देयर विच आर pointers which are specific to all the 4 papers. So first I'll be discussing paper 2 and 3 and then Pranav sir will be joining in some time and then he'll be discussing paper 1 and 4. तो पेपर 2 में if you must have seen कि understanding the question becomes very important. ठीक है, अब पॉलिटी का क्वेश्चन आ गया, अब कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मोरालिटी वाज अ प्रॉब्लम, फिर एक और क्वेश्चन आया था कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलाइजेशन ऑफ, कुछ तो पिछले साल का एक क्वेश्चन आया था, तो वहाँ पे ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलाइजेशन ऑफ क्लाइमेट, तो वो वहाँ पे आपका हो जाएगा कि हाउ डू आई लिंक दैट, एम आई एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड और नॉट। तो यहाँ पे एक थोड़ा सा ये होगा कि या तो अगर समझ में आ रही है आपको चीज़, गो फॉर इट, नहीं तो थोड़ा सा डैमेज कंट्रोल पे जाइए कि थोड़ा बहुत जितना आ रहा है, वॉट एवर पार्ट यू आर एबल टू आंसर, गो फॉर दैट, डोंट ब्रेक योर हेड ओवर दैट, बिकॉज वहाँ पे इफ यू हैव इन्वेस्टेड इवन इन रीडिंग द क्वेश्चन और अंडरस्टैंडिंग इट, तो 1 to 1.5 minutes you have invested, that's a lot of time in your paper. So be very careful कि if you are investing time in it to do some damage control if you are not able to understand it, or else straight away if you know कि you won't be able to answer it at all, don't go for it. तो थोड़ा सा वो वहाँ पे आपको पेपर 2 और 3 में थोड़ा ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा। फिर पेपर 2 और 3 में एक और चीज, पॉलिटी और गवर्नेंस का जैसे आता है तो यहाँ पे कमिटी रिपोर्ट्स बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाती हैं और एग्जाम्पल्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाती हैं फॉर गवर्नेंस स्पेशली, कि कोई हमने इस चीज का कोई गवर्नेंस इनिशिएटिव ले लिया, उसका हमने एग्जाम्पल दे दिया, तो वो सब आपको सब्सटैंशिएट करेंगे, जब तक आप पॉइंट में नहीं तब तक आपको उसमें मतलब क्या बोलते हैं अच्छे मार्क्स नहीं मिलेंगे। ठीक है, फिर मैप मेकिंग, अगर पेपर 2 में कहीं पे भी अगर ज़रूरी पड़ा, स्पेशली आपको पेपर 1 में ज़रूरी पड़ेगा फॉर ज्योग्राफी, पेपर 2 में इफ नीडेड गो फॉर अ ब्लॉक डायग्राम टू सेव योर टाइम और समथिंग लाइक दैट। पेपर 3 में साइंस एंड टेक का अगर आपने क्वेश्चन ऑब्जर्व किया होगा तो ईदर दे विल आस्क यू द कॉन्सेप्ट, उसका एप्लीकेशन या तो पूछ लेंगे, नहीं तो कोई रीसेंट डेवलपमेंट उसके रिलेटेड आई है, कोई पॉलिसी आ गई वो पूछ लेंगे। सो देयर यू हैव टू बी केयरफुल कि ये सारी चीजें आप आती हो, आपको पता हो। अगर डेफिनेशन नहीं आ रही, इट्स ओके, गो फॉर समथिंग दैट यू नो अराउंड इट फॉर साइंस एंड टेक पेपर स्पेशली। ठीक है, इकोनॉमी में विदाउट गिविंग सम फिगर कि भाई पॉवर्टी कितनी रिड्यूस हुई, अगर आपने कुछ फिगर नहीं तो कुछ परसेंटेज नहीं दिया, या सम रीजन्स इफ यू हैव नॉट एक्सप्रेस्ड, जस्ट गिविंग की पॉवर्टी इतने से लाइक 2015 से लेके 2020 में इतनी रिड्यूस हुई, दैट विल नॉट फेच यू मच मार्क्स इफ यू हैव नॉट रिटन द परसेंटेज। और what has been the trend in the GDP growth, उसमें भी आप अगर if you are able to draw graph sort of, or if you are able to give some number, that will give you fetch you marks। ठीक है, कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ द क्वेश्चन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होता है इकोनॉमी में। वाई? बिकॉज अगर क्वेश्चन देखे पीपीपी इन रेलवेज आया था, दैट वाज इन न्यूज इन अक्टूबर आई सपोज, एंड देयर इन नवंबर यू हैड इट इन मेंस, राइट? तो इसमें क्या होता है, करंट अफेयर्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो जा रहा है, दैट आई मिस्ड इन द लास्ट थिंग। जीएस पेपर 2 and 3 में इफ यू रियलाइज करंट अफेयर्स इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, और सिर्फ करंट अफेयर्स पढ़ के नहीं होगा, यू विल बी एबल टू रियली बी एबल टू लिंक इट विथ योर स्टैटिक्स। कि पीपीपी तो अब मान लो स्टैटिक ही टॉपिक हो चुका है, बट पीपीपी के अलग अलग मॉडल्स और कहाँ कहाँ पीपीपी हम ला रहे हैं और क्या क्या रिसेंटली उससे पीपीपी से वी हैव हाउ इट हैज प्रूव्ड बेनिफिशियल फॉर अस, दैट विल बी इंपॉर्टेंट, दैट यू हैव टू फेच फ्रॉम योर करंट अफेयर्स बुकलेट्स, राइट? फिर डेवलपिंग इंटरलिंकेजेस। नाउ इफ यू सी कि इकोलॉजी एंड एनवायरनमेंट एवरीवेयर देयर इज इंटरलिंकेजेस, सिक्योरिटी और पॉलिसी मेकिंग में फिर से इंटरलिंकेजेस, दैट आई शो यू, जैसे प्रिवेंशन ऑफ मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग एक्ट, तो कहने के लिए इट इज अ पॉलिसी that government has brought in. It is a bill that has the government has brought in. But उसका linkage अगर देखें तो security से है, उसका linkage हम देखें तो economy से है, उसका linkage हम देखें तो कहीं ना कहीं social इस पे भी आ जाता है, सोशल इश्यूज पे भी आ जाता है. सो व्हेन यू आर रीडिंग योर न्यूज़पेपर और से करंट अफेयर्स, तो उसको ना थोड़ा डोंट रीड इट लाइक मैं इकोनॉमी पढ़ रही हूँ या मैं इकोलॉजी पढ़ रही हूँ. समवेयर यू विल हैव टू लिंक इट, तभी आपका पर्सपेक्टिव थोड़ा वाइडन होगा और आप यहाँ पे उसको रिप्रोड्यूस कर पाएंगे आंसर में. तो उस ऑब्वियसली वॉट एवर वी डिस्कस, नेचुरल प्रोग्रेशन यहाँ पे आता है कि जीएस पेपर 2 और 3 स्पेशली आपने देखा होगा कि वहाँ पे ओवरलैपिंग ऑफ टॉपिक्स काफ़ी होंगे. तो ओवरलैपिंग जहाँ पे वहाँ पे आपका इंटरलिंकेजेस हेल्प करेगा. आ रही है ना समझ? नहीं तो यू कैन आस्क मी क्वेश्चन जहाँ पे भी डाउट हुआ. ठीक है. फिर अगेन वी हैव डिस्कस दिस, लुक एट द कंटेंट एज अ सिचुएशन. क्लाइमेट चेंज एज अ सिचुएशन यू नीड टू ऑब्जर्व कि हाउ कैन, जैसे अगर आईपीसीसी की रिपोर्ट में बहुत सारी चीजें आएंगी तो इट विल गिव यू सम पर्सपेक्टिव हाउ इट इज इम्पैक्टिंग द इकोनॉमी ऑल्सो, द सोशल वेलफेयर प्रोग्राम्स ऑल्सो आर बीइंग इम्पैक्टेड बाय इट, हाउ इट इज अफेक्टिंग आवर पॉलिसी मेकिंग ऑल्सो एट द नेशनल लेवल स्पेशल और एंड ऑल्सो इंटरनेशनल लेवल. अगर हम IR अगर देखने जाएं तो रशिया यूक्रेन वॉर अगर लेते हैं तो उसका इम्पैक्ट इफ यू से इट हैज हैड 360 डिग्री इम्पैक्ट. अभी यू कैन सी कि द यूरोपियन रीजन समवेयर उसका इकोनॉमी इट इज गोइंग इन अ बैड कंडीशन, समवेयर इट हैड एन इम्पैक्ट ऑन अस ऑल्सो. ठीक है. फिर इट हैड एन इम्पैक्ट ऑन आवर जियोपॉलिटिकल रिलेशन ऑल्सो एंड ऑल द वॉर दैट हैड हैपेंड ओवर देयर, कहीं ना कहीं उसका क्लाइमेटिक इम्पैक्ट भी पड़ा है. तो वो सारी चीजें इफ यू कैन सी कि वन टॉपिक इट हैज वेरियस लिंकेजेस. सो इफ यू आर रीडिंग समवेयर समथिंग व्हाटएवर बुकलेट ऑफ करंट अफेयर्स और स्टैटिक्स, अगर उसमें लिंकेजेस नहीं डेवलप करके दे रहे हैं तो इधर यू गो एंड डिमांड फॉर दैट फ्रॉम वेरेवर यू आर रीडिंग और यू नीड टू डू इट बाय योरसेल्फ, बिकॉज थोड़ा लेवल हाई हो रहा है क्वेश्चंस का, तो ये खुद से करना पड़ेगा, नहीं तो डिमांड फ्रॉम वेरेवर यू आर रीडिंग. और यू कैन आस्क द टीचर जहाँ पे भी हैं, जैसे अगर हम हैं यहाँ पे तो हमसे डिस्कस कर सकते हो कि हाउ डू वी डू दैट. ठीक है. और ये ऑब्वियसली अगर आपने इंटरलिंकेजेस डेवलप करें सब और एक 360 डिग्री व्यू लिया है टॉपिक का, तो जब आप आंसर लिखोगे ना तो उतना एनरिच्ड दिखेगा क्योंकि आपका पर्सपेक्टिव जो है उसमें वाइडन हो गया. ठीक है. Now that we have discussed paper 1, paper 2 and 3 and various other aspects of answer writing, and there are some aspects which are yet to be discussed, paper 1 and 4, and there are many other things that what mistakes you must avoid, how do you get out of those mistakes. वो सारी चीज़ डिस्कस करने के लिए we have Pranav sir here.
Thank you, Amika ji, and hi. So we are discussing this answer writing session, a workshop, brief workshop on that. Key, what are the things, are the nuances of answer writing? What things we have to inculcate in my practice and what I have to avoid, right? So having said so, we have taken the examples from the different sessions by the Anamika ma'am, like paper 2 and 3. So briefly we will come to this point of paper 1 particularly, then we will move to the most crucial part of this entire examination, that is ethics part. Why? Because it is 250 marks. Of course, all the papers are of equal marks, but it creates a challenge. What I think, what question has been asking, all right? And overall, if I say, if we are able to understand the whole perspective of this examination and why it has been designed so, what kind of things they are looking for, you can crack it. That is the crack of this examination. In one line I'll tell, you are going to become a civil servant. Then what are the duties of or functions of a civil servant? In the simplest way, you have to run what you have to run? Administration. Okay, that means particularly I would say society. In society, we have the different dimensions, like cultural dimensions, social dimension, economy, All right, geological spatial distribution of the things or resources. All right, and what is the most important thing that they do? That is decision making. Decision making for all these stakeholders of society in all these subjects, I would say. And for that matter, history again becomes important in order to address or understand the nuances why a particular conflict had arisen. For example, if you see in the internal security, right, paper 3, that there are, in current dynamics, there is a issues are going on the borders of Manipur. Until unless we have this understanding what has been in the past, why it has, came up this time. So I would not be able to address that. So that's a challenge. So at the end of this session, I'll just discuss with this paper 1 and 4, then I will come to that point, how we will develop this kind of perspective, that is decision making of a civil servant. And what are those factors which empowers me or inculcate those things which will help me to take decisions for society. Society, law, that's whole government or any territorial expanse of our country. All right. That's why it is designed in such a way. If you are able to understand this, that's why they are asking your opinion. That's why they are asking you to conclude your answers. That's why they laying stress on introduction. Whether we are understanding the particular thing is in the sync of the question demand or not. And what is conclusion? That means you should be able to solve something. You should have some way forward. And believe me, conclusion is nothing. It is the reflection of your thought process. That is, your positive outlook should be reflected. Many times we have seen people are just concluding their answers. For example, they are asking about governance. People should do this, that, or Sedition Act, for example. They are simply saying that Sedition Act is not disturbing the fundamental right of this right of speech and expression. But they are asking you, okay, this is all existing, but what is way forward in your head? That means you have to come out with some evidence that your opinion is based on these things. This is my positive outlook. I am going to solve particular situation in this manner. All right. So that's why conclusion is very important. Okay. So now just look at this question. This is from the paper 1 I have taken from the one of the toppers copy. So we have taken from this point of view, content is okay. We have read so much. We have practiced answer writing so that I can write naturally. I can think. I can give a lot of information through example. But is it required to present it some certain way? And what are those elements of presentation? Even though the nature of the GS1 paper is more about analytical, more about insights, perspective, and at the same time geography questions, if you see, they are based on factual information. Right? So this is the question they have asked about. With the example, discuss the cultural tradition from various regions of India get reflected in regional music. Right? And this topper, he has, included this diagram. The presentation has become extraordinary presentable. Because I was not understanding whether I could use this kind of thing, block diagrams or diagrams or map work in other topics also, in history topics also. So this is, here he has proved that. All right, this candidate. So I have to understand, and this practice cannot be attained within a single lecture or a single day or a week just prior to examination. If I say, okay, gentlemen, please, practice flowcharts, practice diagrams. So it becomes really difficult. For that, you should be well versed with the content. Content means your interlinkages. We are reading from different sources. We are having keeping an eye on current affairs, and then we are trying to see which things becomes suitable here. So he has made this diagram. Okay, in this region, Pahadi Geet. All right. In this region, I'll show you. 1 second. Yeah. This is the region Pahadi Geet, representing hilly state of India. All right. Then again, if you see, this is writing about tribal music in the tribal belt. So it's very easy to express, but it is a novelty in a presentation. So this is your unique style. It is their unique style. Now you have to come up, when we are discussing in the previous slides by ma'am, that you should identify your strength, your weakness. So it is his strength. So we have to inculcate or develop or identify which are my strengths so that I can make my answers presentable. After reading a lot of content, after collecting so much evidences in the form of facts, committee reports, examples, and so on. And now if you see, the whole presentation goes very well, very lucid, very simple. Simple language, simple statements, tribal music of Eastern India, this is where, right? So these are not, having some flowery expression or difficult language, well articulated. The flow is natural. Simply, and when it's come to conclusion, so you can see the recent proposal of music for Carnatic music. That means it is showing some current relevance. Even in the question of the history, it is something futuristic. The recent proposal for the Museum of Carnatic Music, it reflects something that we are having the rich heritage. Are you getting my point? So we have to identify this perspective also. History is not talking in the sense of some, timelines or chronology. They are talking about something relevant to society. What kind of society in particular timeline it was, and why it is having this kind of heritage, or what reflection it is carrying in the minds of people. Right? So this is how we have to understand different kind of papers. So I'll take another example, and then we'll move to the ethics part, which is slightly, tricky. It appears very simple to answer, but difficult to fetch marks. So I'll give more importance on that. Yeah.
हिस्ट्री में मेन प्रॉब्लम इसके जो थीम है, मतलब व्याकरण कल्चर का है, तो नेम कभी रिकॉल नहीं हो पाते, मतलब एग्जैक्ट नेम, तो मतलब ना लिखे तो मतलब मार्क्स कटने का कुछ है, मतलब मार्क्स ना मिले.
Yeah, there is a challenge if you are not able to write the examples, but you are having this challenge, right? तो हम क्या करें? अगर मुझे पता है कि इसके पीछे एक analytics थी, for example, temple architecture. Why it has been asked so many times? It was not simply the architecture of something particular structure in particular way, or Gopuram was there. They are asking about there was some traditions where we were following. For example, Panchayatana temple. It was reflecting some kind of, it was drifting away from feudal mindset of gods even. Well, there is no hierarchy in the gods. So if you have this kind of spirit, if you kind of this perspective at your hand, so need not to talk about that particular example or the name or the keywords. Simply you can write the perspective. That's also the good point. This is how we can just overcome my own weakness or challenge where I'm not able to remember that particular event or particular example. This is how we will do. So that's the beauty of this answer writing. This only you can identify when you are practicing answers. That's why we have to design this kind of course for you, in which you have to identify your originality, your strength and weakness, and then you should be well prepared for this final examination. Otherwise, whenever the paper is coming, so I am just confused whether I have to draw a diagram or not. People were saying make flowchart, but I'm not able to do. Naturally, it is not coming. So I have to develop all the things naturally, because in the time when we are writing examination in the classroom, at that time the pressure is so much. Limited time, 20 questions. I do not get that time. I will think this strategy now. It simply comes naturally. Alright, so if you practice beforehand, so it is natural for you to address it. Okay.
Sir?
Yeah.
Such representation in this question, is it going to impact the word limit of the question?
No. See, if you are making diagram, so of course it is going to reduce your word limit. So you are also saving your own time that you can devote for another question. And believe me, don't cross the word limit. That's why we will discuss in the last part. Beside the element of answer like structure, flow, presentation, it becomes like language, articulation, right?
So I don't know whether this another question is relevant or not. So for example, in the last section, as Gandhi said, she was telling a blah diagram. So there we have written challenges, and we have 5 strands of it. So is it going to be accounted in those 150 to 50 words, whatever we are writing it?
Yeah, but see, if you're writing these long statements for a particular keyword, one particular challenge, right? Maybe governance challenge, we do not have adequate law. You are writing, we do not have adequate law. Now here you're writing only lack of governance. Simply you have reduced it. So your word limit is reduced, right? Word limit is there, but your word count has reduced. So of course that will be counted what you have written, whatever you have written, whether in the diagram or not, everything is counted, but it is going to save your time, save your expression. And this expression, art of expression is also not very easy to come. So it takes time. That's why more you will practice, more you will become apt at it.
And so there have been many videos on YouTube where people say that the topics that you have to attempt each and every question. So let's say there is some big question comes and which we have no idea about it. So they are saying you have to attempt that as well. And if someone, let's say like me, who doesn't have any knowledge, and I want something abstract just to fill the gap, okay, I have to write the answer. So is it going to fail the marks just because I have attended the question? And
so yes, we will. I think ma'am was also saying about this, that damage control. If you are not aware, time is less, you have to attempt, right? What you will do. In that situation also, when the constants are so heavy, so you cannot pay this cost of, costing this mains examination. So you can do some flow diagrams, block diagrams, you can use a map work. If something is related to spatial distribution of monsoon or maybe the earthquake prone areas. You have no complete idea, but you know that, you know the Indian map, you know the world map slightly in your head, you use it. You know the ring of fence, you just dot it, this is the ring of fence, the earthquake prone area. This is how you can make your approach better instead of just, being absurd or being, you are not able to address that at the situation. आप उसको सोच ही नहीं पा रहे. So just clear it of that block. And if you read twice, definitely you will get it. You can read it in both the languages, which languages you are comfortable with. Definitely it will give you some clue because you have read so much of things. See, currently you might be reading prelims like, history, geography, polity, economics separately. But now when the mains will come, again you might be reading so many things like GS 1, 2, 3, 4. But when you will enter into the mains examination paper, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, at the end you will realize that what I know, I was writing everything in every paper. I was not, selective to address polity question, selective to geography question. That's why they want a complete monolith of diverse thinking, right? Okay. So this is the example that I've shown you. Another example I have taken from ethics, right? This is quotation-based question. So we have evaluated this candidate copy. So I'll show you. This is asking, I understand democracy as something that gives the weak the same chance as the strong. Quotation by Mahatma Gandhi, right? You can see this. Now, this is student addressed by just picking up one keyword, democracy. Democracy is based on values by people here, and so on. Although it is not wrong, there is no wrong, but this introduction is going out of sync of the question spirit. Because this is question asking about, with respect to Mahatma Gandhi, democracy could be different for you, different for me, different for Socrates. What Mahatma Gandhi was thinking about democracy, alright? So he was thinking in such a way that weak is also getting equal chance with respect to the strong. That's why we made this remark over here, we have to write in a precise way. Right? Should not be drift away from this. Don't pick up only the keyword unless you have the spirit. Because at least we know a lot about Mahatma Gandhi. A lot about Mahatma Gandhi. A lot about maybe Swami Vivekananda. So we should not do this kind of mistakes. Alright? Otherwise, and if he is going to, address this with respect to Mahatma Gandhi, so definitely he is going to fetch more marks. And now, the second statement over here, when he was writing out rich and poor is not wealth, but opportunity they can have, democracy provide equal marker of opportunity. So this is something, okay, understandable, but it is not giving, interest in reading. There is no example, only explanation. We are not able to substantiate something. Right? So examples becomes very easy, or this increases presentation also. It increases your articulation also. It increases another dimension or aspect, makes answer multidimensional. So here now you see that we have write that you can write about majoritarianism, cultural hegemony. When a particular community is trying to impose their cultural traits upon others, this particular thing you have to do, must do or accept that, right? Or the social sanction to particular social behavior when we are imposing. So these things could be mentioned over here. That's the spirit of democracy. Everyone should be free to express, right? Express what? Express everything. So that's why Gandhiji was saying this. So now if you see that democracy should not just be seen as majority rule. And I would say that whenever you are trying to conclude, avoid using these negative words. Not, couldn't be possible, right? Try to make it positive. We adopted democracy because it is the beauty of our, this plural society, that there are so many diversity in ethnicity, language, religion, caste, ethnicity. Yeah.
Can we read another thinker or personality quote in conclusions. For example, the question of Mahatma Gandhi. But if we write like Winston Churchill quote that democracy is the worst form of government until we find another form of government, something like that.
Yeah, but you know, this particular quotation should be in sync with the ideas of Gandhiji. Yeah. You can conclude in such a way what Gandhiji was saying, the some other was also quoting. You can link these two philosophers together or these personalities. This we will also practice, and after the practice, you will identify what common mistakes just arises and how we address that. That's only the will come from the practice, right? But it is a good thing. But addressing this quotation-based question or introducing by the another personality, that's not a good way of addressing. First you address Mahatma Gandhi, then you can bring it. Then you can also use another quotation or any other evidence you have. All right. So now.
Like we can write another side also to counter. For example, some thinkers do not support democracy, some thinkers support. यहाँ पहले महात्मा गांधी ने support कर रहे हैं to counter that 2 points of like support नहीं कर रहे democracy.
Yeah, it depends upon the demand of question again. आप counter बिल्कुल कर सकते हो, उसमें कोई ये और अच्छी चीज है. If you have this critical thinking and you're bringing both the side aspects, then you are concluding in a balanced way. That's the most appropriate way. It gives you the impression to the reader that you know both the side, both aspects, or multiple sides. That's a good approach. Yeah. Okay. So now I'll come to the case study part in this workshop, and when we will start this function, we will take every subject separately, and we will come to all the nuances of answer writing. However, these are the common things, the flow, structure, but here case studies are very different from rest of the answers, either from any of the question paper. Why? These are lengthy to read, highly scoring if you are able to address properly, right? So both ways, advantage, disadvantage, just chasing each other, and time constraint, because these are lengthy, and when we write answer, so we end up with the elongating so much. So that's a challenge here. So now, and presentation, because 3-4 pages we have filled the 3-4 pages, 4-5 पन्ने भर दिए हमने लिख के, उसमें प्रेजेंटेशन में समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, कुछ अंडरलाइन नहीं, कुछ हाईलाइट नहीं, कोई डायग्राम नहीं, कैसे करें? तो वो प्रेजेंटेशन भी उसकी कॉम्प्रोमाइज हो जाती है. इसलिए केस स्टडीज में एक डिफरेंट अप्रोच हमने सेट करी, और इट इज वैलिडेटेड, टेस्टेड बाय सिक्योरिंग गुड मार्क्स. सो उसमें क्या है, आपने सुना भी होगा, इंस्टेड ऑफ एक्सप्लेनिंग फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल हम क्या करते हैं उसके अप्रोच में, उसमें स्टेक होल्डर आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं. एंड मेनी टाइम्स वी फील दैट कि इफ आई राइट as much as number of stakeholders, I will get higher marks. No. We have to identify the major stakeholder first. Minor could be there, right? And how we will represent, instead of explaining, simply use diagram. Make a triangle if you are able to see the 3 major stakeholder. If you are not able to, just gauge the number, simply make a circle, and then with the strands, these are the stakeholders. Same thing you can do for the identifying ethical issues. That we will practice, then we can very easily comprehend all this idea, how to identify and how to reduce or how to articulate those ethical issues. For example, social, in some case, social morality is in conflict with legal law of land. For example, Kha Panchayat. If it is case based on some case study of Kha Panchayat, instead of explaining Kha Panchayat, they have no right, or law have superseding powers, simply write that social morality versus law of land, or rule of law is violated. I am just helping you out to say that हम उसको कैसे articulate करें, कैसे single line में लिखें. Social acceptance to corruption, simple, बहुत easy है चीजें explain करना. Alright, so ठीक है, वो तो हम बाद में practice करेंगे. तो now I have to identify stakeholders, then I have to see, unlayer all the ethical issues. What ethical issues could be there? Rule of law, social morality, maybe lack of awareness, lack of understanding, lack of power to express. If someone is in that particular case study is coming from the weaker section, so they do not have adequate ways to express. Alright, so this is also an ethical issue. Okay, they are not getting voice. Anyway, then one by one we will resolve ethical issues, and how, that we will see when we will solve. But now again, in order to substantiate, we have to go to the same approach. You should have some argument to support that you are going this thing to resolve particular ethical issue, and for that matter I have this fact. Maybe you are talking about inequality, so first to establish their inequality exists. Oxfam report comes handy. And when you are addressing some solution, you do not know, yeah, I am doing this thing, I am solving this particular case in this manner. Maybe it is related to judicial reforms in police. Alright, so there is a Malimat committee, and it is talking about somewhere I have to uphold the right to privacy of someone, then Kuttaswamy case becomes inevitably placed in this example. So in this scenario, I have to identify, I have to use all those things, what I have learned till all the subjects. Everything will be used here. And that's the beauty of interlinkages. Whatever you have learned, you have written from history, you have learned from geography or maybe internal security, society, everything will come over here to substantiate your viewpoint. Alright, so that's how we are going to do it. And in that, there is also the problem that we do not have the evidence that I've told you, Oxfam report or maybe NSSO report. We simply say that, okay, we have added all these things up to paper 3. But paper 4 is demanding you to write that. Then substantiate viewpoint. Then draw some inference and reflect your comprehensive problem solving approach. Your problem solving should be limited to one particular issue or particular case study, but it should have some comprehensive bearing on society in a future. So it should be futuristic or reflective. As ma'am was advocating for this, conclusion should be reflective. It should be way forward. It should be, showing a wider perspective. This is how it is going to do. I think we have drawn same thing into here also. All right. So this is how we are going to practice. And when you write, we have designed in such a way that we are going to give you the remark or the feedback based on all these elements. The structure part, articulation, how you could improve if it is not up to that standard, and where the diagrams or the flow charts will come to increase the presentation. Alright, we will help you out in that way. So now, overall, in answer writing, what is the challenge? First of all, first challenge is that I have read so much, but I do not know how to produce on paper. That was the starting of the session, right? So until unless you will just, break this friction, you cannot overcome this. So this is a challenge, and then challenge comes bankruptcy of ideas. Vocabulary hassle. In paper 1, there is certain vocabulary required for art and culture, for environment, something else. I'm not talking about that examples, evidences. Right, this is for facts, committee reports, that is very easy to collect, and even so many things are easily available also. But if you are doing on your own, if you are able to relate all these things in your head, that is art of interlinking. Oxford report related to inequality, it is in the domain of this social economy part. But when you are talking about inequality in general, you are also connected to the social inequality. Why certain castes are at a lower strata? Because economic inequality is rising, Oxfam report is saying. Right? This is how you can relate with so many dimensions. So this art of interlinking has to come up with a natural practice. And you cannot cram or mark so many things and blurt it out. If you are a natural thinker in that way for a certain period of time, that's going to help you out organically. Alright, so another thing is that presentation, whether I have to make diagram or not, whether I have to use map work or not, for example, or whether they are properly placed or not, whether I have drawn, in a proper, not just irregular way, this, straight lines are there, or map is slightly just, connoting with the real map, that something should be there, or just we can draw the margin around the diagram so that it is properly seen and well enlarged also. We are making very small tiny examples, diagrams, so that is also not a good thing. So these all will come in the presentation part. And whether I have utilized full line spaces, there is a space between change of para. So these all things are, whether I have highlighted by underline simply, because I will not say that you use the multiple pens, but if you are able to use, or if it is your natural ability, please use it. Right? These all things we will learn in the presentation part. Though damage control, ma'am has already said a lot about it, that if we are practicing all these things, definitely we can do that. We will not leave any question unaddressed. Right? This is the practice we will practice. Then speed time management. This answer writing definitely help you to comprehend question demand immediately on the final day of exam. And it will also increase your time, your speed. It will optimize your time, how to think and write immediately. Instead of just structuring in my head or in a rough diagram, I can come directly to the answer. So this is all will come after practicing, thorough practicing. So for that matter, we have designed the different stages First, we will practice answer writing through 1 or 2 question or the similar question paper from the different question paper, GS 1 to 3. Then we will first of all comprehend the question demand. What question is looking forward, whether it is criticizing, and in that way they are asking for some solution. For example, nationalism has become a greater problem for the government to address. If it is the question statement, analyze. So you are thinking that you have to criticize in such a way that nationalism is not good for country now. But actually they are asking, what is the problem and what is the solution do you have? So now if you are simply saying that it is internal security problem, it is one aspect only. Other aspect is development, underdevelopment, or the inadequate political representation of that area or that people, those who are directly affected by nationalism. Alright, this is how we have to think in multiple dimensions. Anyway, so then we will work upon interlinking. That's what I was thinking, I was telling, or ma'am was also asking you. And even anywhere if you read the question paper or which was addressed by the toppers, you will find this element, interlinking. And certain element you might be carrying. So when you will write answer, that will naturally come out. You will understand that this much of interlinking is there, this much, and this is more yet to be required. Okay. And then when you have done all these things, so you will have to work upon articulation. Write simplicity, write simple sentences, not very lengthy, complicated, complex. That will comes with the practice only. And second thing I would say that, suggest you a strategy. Whenever you're reading newspaper or any magazine, for example, Yojna Krushket, if you are reading, so try to see how they're introducing and how they're concluding. And at times you can collect a few those things also for your, to work upon this aspect, this articulation. And some phrases also, like I will never say that use quotation much or the flowery expression, but you can use some statements which are generally commonly written in the newspaper articles. So this will help you how to write organically or how to write creatively. Alright, so this will help you in this way. Then the final stage is enrichment. Committee reports properly placed. Common mistakes like these facts, these are connected with the question demand. I will say in the next slide that what are the common problems, then we will try to come out to the end part of it. And of course the presentation that we have discussed a lot of times in this now here, that physical presentation as well as your idea should be presented nicely in a proper flow. So, having said so, the simple cue or the takeaway for today's session of answer writing is that we have to see what is the basic or the fundamental of an answer. Answer writing or essay, ethics, whatever, it stands only one basis. That is your argument, what argument do you carry, what evidence you are putting forward to support that argument, and then based on that, what inference you have drawn. That means the conclusion. So it is your introduction, main body and conclusion, or simply a complete composite answer. So you don't have to debunk all these things, but you have to understand every answer, what is my approach? I have to read a history question from such a way whether I am able to do an argument on that. For example, they are asking you about Gandhian thought. If you know this, there is one fact, we all know that in the this aftermath of Chauri Chaura incident, Gandhiji withdraw non-cooperation movement. It is a complete reflection of Gandhian thought on non-violence. It is an example, it is a fact, and now it is used as evidential argument. Are you getting my point? Alright, so this is how we will practice, and of course, it is very easy to master also. But once we get awareness and when we do a little bit of exercise, it's very easy to comprehend and become a natural writer or creative writer in that sense. And okay, this is the basic of an answer that we have discussed. We are going to help you to develop this kind of understanding to address. This is a simple strategy. What were the pitfalls, the shortage or shortfalls that I come across when I'm addressing this? We do not have this strategy. We are confused at that time. Whether argument, evidence, inference, we are always confused. We are just simply doing introduce, conclude positively. Simply we are going to this idea, but we are not addressing or everything is not in sync. For example, I'll give you the example here. There was a question about privatization of railways. In the conclusion, the particular candidate has written that railways, although they require the privatization pros and cons, and at the end, though railway has also been successful in eliminating caste discrimination. Privatization question is completely coming from the domain of economy, but caste discrimination is completely just taking your answer in the conclusion towards social direction. So there is a conflict of directions or dimension. We can use that, although it has been catering to the needs or aspiration of a plural society, that is also okay, but do not do this kind of disaster. So this is how we will learn from our mistakes. Anyway, so we are not understanding demand of the question, or things are not in sync. Mistakes in structure simply that a question comprises of several subparts. Are we able to address all the subparts in a clear, logical manner that flow is not broken? Simple, it is structure. Simple. Alright, nothing much to worry about it. Very simple thing. Content mistake, we are using data but that is wrong data. So data accuracy is very important. Or we are using simply the data but we are not quoting the source. We are saying that 80% of the people are doing this. 75% are like this way, right? Are affected by floods. Which source? And use simplest sources, the government sources which are easily known to everyone. Maybe NSSO data for, for the paper 3 or family issues or social aspects or social consumption, whatever. This way we have to use. Don't use that particular report on that way, and in that year very old data should not be used. And whether that data we have used, we are able to connect it with our question demand or not by some statement analytics link, or with some linking statements or linking keywords. It should be, then only we can say that there is a complete flow in that. So these things we should not do, we will avoid it. Or definition. This happens particularly, in the geography terms where the precise definition required, or in the ethics. For example, we have to define probity, but we are generally defining it, maybe the honesty in probity. And so this kind of the vague definition we are using. So this we have to avoid. This will come only with the clear, crystal understanding of concepts and with answer writing practice. Then language problem, I've already said, the language problem also is there, flowery expressions, everything that. So this will reduce when you will master this art, simplicity. More you will write, more simplicity will come. You are writing maybe 3-4 statements for a particular thing. When you will write it again, you might be writing now only one statement. So this will come naturally. It's a natural progression of your work upon all these things. And what we will do in this stage, we will help you to learn through interactive session the elements already we have discussed. In the program, what we will do, you will learn the concepts, learn all these things, how we are going to address art and culture question, how we are going to do that. Then you will practice the assignment, directly writing the answer. Then another stage, we will give the feedback. That feedback means already give you the remark for the good thing. Yes, you are good at this, and this is the required thing that you have to improve. Presentation, structure, content, accuracy, and so on. Or conclusion, or this, whether your introduction was in sync or not. Based on that, you will learn, you will see that feedback, you will try to improve in the next attempt, and then you will enrich your answer. For example, you have done so many things very well, structure, flow, presentation, but you missed out certain committee reports or convention. So we'll help you, this committee or convention is apt here. So that is answer enrichment is the next step. When you improved upon those mistakes, and eventually you will secure high marks. Right? So these are just simply we are giving this on this workshop, the brief idea about answer writing. And with this, we simply will come out with the practical practice session of answer writing, for which we will share the schedule very soon with you all, how we are going to do. Definitely we will be working on GS1, GS2, 3, 4. We will supply you some material. I'll tell you the sources through which you can just gauge this is the probable topic for my mains this year. And when you see analyze the PYQ for the static topics or even for the current or dynamic topics of economy, those were somewhere in news. That's why they were asked. For example, last year they asked about the workforce in the society question, work from home. What is the effect of work from home on Indian societies? Right? So this is a society-based question. So this is how, because everyone is this post-pandemic working in a work from home mode, this is how we will relate. We will discuss all the topics which could be probable in our examination. So this is the practice that we are going to do. So this much with this, we will share the next schedule for the answer writing session. All right? Thank you so much.